Hello. Hey guys, good evening. It is Thursday, December 29th, 10:20 p.m. New York time, and almost getting down to the end of 2016 here. So, as far as the last trading day tomorrow, which is Friday the 30th, um, I'm not suspecting there's going to be a lot of action. The liquidity is going to be thin. A lot of people are already done. Um, but hey, you never know. So I certainly will be keeping an eye on charts tomorrow, but I'm not going to be actively looking to jump into any trades unless there's just something beautiful. But I did want to just point out one thing, and this is a nice trend here, end of trend that just occurred here. So I just wanted to point this out. And this happened on a couple of pairs, but I wanted to point this one out. I actually was in this trade short towards the end here and made a little bit more than I thought I would on it, so it was nice. But this is my demo, my new, actually no, this is my new live account I have, but the trade was on my Ella chart, on my Ella broker. So anyways, just want to point this out. This is the pound Swiss, and you're looking at the 6-hour chart here. And we have this really nice trend here, kind of a perfect trend. And so we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now earlier I was in this trade to the long side right about here. And it was against my better judgment. No, actually, no, I take that back. I was in this trade short. Let me go back. So back on the 1-hour chart here. So I was in this trade short right here, and then this was the London close right here. And so you can see it started to go up, and I was thinking maybe that was the end of the trend of the wave 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But it didn't really look like it. But anyways, I was nervous about it anyways because I saw this start to go up. So I exited. And I was pretty much about break even at that point. So it wasn't a great trade, but it wasn't horrible. But then all of a sudden I looked at the clock because I'd gotten home a little early today, and I actually didn't realize what time it was. But this candle right here was the London close. And so I think this was just short covering. So it rallied up quite a bit here. But then as you can see what happened after that. And so when I saw this go back up, and then I realized it was the London close, it was just short covering, especially ahead of probably a thin day tomorrow. Traders are taking profits. And so because when I went back and looked at the 6-hour chart, at that point, I still have to go back here. At that point, I was, not only was it the London close, but I was like, this trend right here, which is the wave 5 inside this larger move, this is the final wave. I said this was not complete yet. I was looking at this as a 1, 2, 3, 4. I said this got to go down again. So I got out of the first short prematurely. I should have just rode out the drawdown. But when it got back up to here, and I kind of put 2 and 2 together, I actually went short again from right about in here. And I said, I'm just going to hold it. It was a small stop loss. I said, if it does keep going up, I'll get taken out. It won't be too bad. But and normally I wouldn't put my stop that close, but it was a low risk trade, So anyways, so I got in about here. And then of course we see what happened here. We had this candle, and I still don't know what caused this. I just got home again, haven't been able to find it. It looks like it was mostly the Swiss this affected. All the Swiss pairs have this big spike. So something with the Swiss. Again, I don't know whether it was just liquidity, some thin liquidity, and some fat finger during the Asian session. Who knows? But as it turns out, this move is what ended the trend. Because now if I measure this out, this is wave 1. And, God, I don't know what's wrong with my cursor here. So it's about 240 pips or so. And then you measure this one, which is probably longer. Now this is 301. Of course, you got this big tail, so who knows really what, 240 pips, which is what the other one was somewhere around here. So either way, I look at this as a wave 5. It doesn't have to be the same length as wave 1, as long as it's, as long as wave 3 is not the shortest. So, anyways, 1, 2, 3, 4, boom, 5, trend over. Now, if you go out a little bit further here on the pound Swiss, so now I'm on the 12-hour chart, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then here's that downtrend we were just looking at. Or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 actually is how I counted it. Originally I was thinking this was 4 and 5 of this move, but the more I look at it, this was probably the end of this up move. So this was part of the correction, and sometimes you get trends, corrections that look like trends, because technically, you know, a trend is correction's ABC. It's not a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is an impulsive move. But I just label this way because that's the way it looks. There probably is, you know, an A in here, you know, a 1, 2, 3 up for B, and then a wave C. So you probably could label this A, B, C too. But just for the sake of my visualizing it, I labeled it as a trend. But this could, again, could easily be labeled ABC. And you'd probably be right because this would be a correction to this uptrend. Now if we take a Fibonacci now and we see how far this correction has gone, you can see you know, it went past the 50, not quite to the 61, so it certainly is eligible to be a correction end. And so again, back on the 12-hour, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, end of trend. This is a correction. I have it labeled as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but it's probably an ABC, which would be proper labeling for a correction. Now we're going to see what happens. So I'll be watching this during London tomorrow, and if nothing happens, which might not, then certainly early next week there's British pound news pretty much every day next week, like Tuesday through Thursday. And so you know, Monday might not be too much, but starting on Tuesday. So, but we'll see. I'm still going to watch this during the London session tomorrow morning. That's very very early my time, but I'll probably wake up just to check it out and see where it's at, because this potentially could be the end of this correction. This move was the end of this correction to this uptrend, and so on the longer time frame, that could be the resumption of this uptrend. And of course, it's a 12-hour chart, so this is a lot of pips, and this is a lot of pips. If you go back down now to the lower time frames, here's the 1 hour. I mean, there's no sign that this is really resuming an uptrend yet. You know, this theoretically could come back down and retest this area again around that 240 pip mark. But there's obviously there's no signal in here, and I certainly wouldn't be looking to go long during the Asian session on this pair, on a pound Swiss pair. But certainly during London tomorrow, I'll be watching this closely to see if this possibly resumes this uptrend after this longer term trend up, and then what is either an ABC correction down, or it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now that brings up one more quick point. Let's suppose we just ignore this move up. We'll just concentrate just on this area. Forget about all this. Just look at this. So now, if we're going to forget about this, then I have to look at this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and not an ABC, because we're just ignoring this, or we're just looking at this as a trend and not a correction. So if you look at that now, if this does end up being the trend, even if it's not a continuation of this uptrend and it's just the end of this trend, there's going to be a substantial correction, at least, you know, 38% Fibonacci back to the upside. So if we pull the Fibonacci down, oops, if I can grab it, oops, let's see here. So if this is already retraced, technically it's already retraced 38% of this move down. Let's move it to that 240 pip level, which was about halfway. So even if we just get a move back towards the 38, it would be a small trade, but I think it's got a lot more to go. I mean, that's 59 pips. If it goes back to the 61, which is more likely, that's 180. So the point of this is, even if we look at this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we're going to have a correction. It probably will go back to at least this area, which is the end of the previous wave 4. So that would be about 100 pips. So even if it does that, it would probably turn around and still go back down. But either way, I'm going to be watching this during London, and potentially long if the price action says so. Alright, so that's it guys. Happy New Year if I don't talk to you, and any questions, let me know.